Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be trying to figure out if I can beat Pokémon Colosseum using only Plusle and Minun. Plusle and Minun haven't got the best base stats with a base total of 405, which is slightly higher than most first form starters from the main series games. Looking into the stats, they're not identical. Plusle has slightly higher attack and special attack, and Minun has slightly higher defense and special defense. Their learn set leaves something to be desired, with the only attacking types being electric and normal, but we do get a bit more when it comes to TMs. Unfortunately, not all of these are in Pokémon Colosseum, and most of them are only available later in the game, if at all. The real gimmick of using these two Pokémon is their respective abilities. Each of them gets an ability that when these two Pokémon are used in a double battle together, they get a 50% increase in their special attack. And given that all battles are double battles in this game, we'll always get the boost. For this series, I'll be writing the scripts as I go along with the challenge, so this has been written before I've started. Be sure to comment down below and guess if I can win or not. I think it's possible, but we might need to be level 100. From what I remember, there are a lot of ground types in this game, so I really hope there's a good non-electric move relatively early on, otherwise it's going to be a slow start until we can get some TMs. Also, I've decided to randomise the gift Pokemon that we'll receive throughout the game, so comment down below and make a guess at which Pokemon you think it'll be. You have literally a 1 in 386 chance. Finally, a quick shout out to Madrybread, who I stole this video idea from. I know he's not the first and only person to do it, but he is the one I've stolen it from, so be sure to check out his channel, which I'll leave linked in the description. Now let's get into the rules. In combat, I can only use Plusle and Minun. There's no need for HMs in this game, so I won't need any other Pokemon to use them. No items in battle, Pokeballs, held items and items outside of battle are allowed, and finally, no glitches or exploits. Let's get into it. To start off, I load up Pokémon Colosseum, and I've used the Pokémon Colosseum randomizer to select Plusle and Minun as the base starters. Checking our stats, Plusle has a bold nature, so increased defense and decreased attack. This game uses Generation 3 mechanics, so all electric attacks are special attack, so fingers crossed decreased attack isn't too much of a problem, and increased defense is always nice. That being said, it's a bit annoying that Plusle's higher base stats are the ones being decreased, and the lower base stats are the ones being increased. Minun, on the other hand, has a lonely nature, which is the exact opposite. Increased attack and decreased defense. Again, a bit annoying that the higher base stats have been dropped. If they were the other way around, that would have been fantastic, but fingers crossed these even each other out and we have at least two usable Pokemon. As this game doesn't have a rival, we get into the first battle against Willy. Given he only has Zigzagoons at this point and we have a stab and ability boosted Spark, they both go down in one hit, which I feel is going to be the case for most of the challenge. We either destroy the opposing team or we get destroyed, and are probably going to be brick-walled for a while. With Willy beat, we move on to the first city of the game, Phoenix City. Here, we're introduced to Rui, who immediately tells us she can see Pokemon with dark auras around them, later known to us as Shadow Pokemon. Rui will be our partner for the rest of the game and follow us almost everywhere we go. God, I hope that doesn't become the most annoying thing in the game. We take our new companion to meet the mayor and also meet this demonic figure later known as Nazgul. Once we actually meet the mayor, called Escade, he says he's going to look into the Shadow Pokemon but has no information for us for now. But he does tell us to check out the nearby Colosseum. On our way out of the Colosseum, we bump into some thugs from a gang known as Team Snag. It turns out I was a former member of their gang, and Rui has a brilliant plan of getting some Pokeballs to help capture the Shadow Pokemon. Little does she know, we're sort of doing a challenge run here, so I won't be doing that. Instead, I head to the mayor's house and we meet Mirror B, who appears to be the boss of the people that kidnapped Rui. Mirror B leaves and we now have to battle Trudley and Folly, where we encounter our first Shadow Pokemon. In the normal game you'd catch this, which is when you discover these Pokemon have been tampered with, so it wouldn't always listen to you and doesn't gain XP until halfway through the game. On our way out of Phoenix City, we force defeat a member of the Mystery Troop, Bluno, Rosso or Verde. Each of these have one of the second form Johto starters, and I decide to take on Rosso, who will have Quilava. Probably the hardest for us to fight. In this battle, Rosso starts with his Quilava and a Grimer. We double down on the Grimer to take it out, but Plusle gets hit with a strong Flame Wheel, dealing just under half health, but also getting a burn. Rosso brings out Spoink to replace Grimer, but with the amount of damage that the Quilava did, I decide to try and focus that. We get a good amount of damage off and bring it down to the red, but at the end of the turn, Plusle falls to 1 health after the burn damage. Plusle is faster than the Quilava, so we take it out before it gets to attack, and Plusle faints to the burn damage. It's then a one-on-one against the Spoink, so we encore it into Torment, which was slightly annoying as we couldn't use Spark for one turn, but it's better than losing the battle. So after wasting a turn, we take it out with Spark. That was incredibly close for this early in the game. I think I'm going to need to get some levels, and relatively soon. From Phoenix, we head to the extremely dangerous Pyrite town. Here, we meet the town's mayor Duking, who appears to be doing nothing to stop the rampage going on in his town. He does, however, ask us to take on Pyrite Colosseum, as he suspects that this is the source of all of the Shadow Pokemon in Pyrite, but at this level, I don't think we stand a chance. We make our way through all of the trainers in Pyrite, which gets us to level 30, but I still don't think that'll be enough. we use this opportunity to take on the pre-gym in Phoenix City. The pre-gym is a set of 4 battles against trainers that have Pokemon about 2 or 3 levels lower than ours, so it's a good place to take on a few battles and get some early XP in. We managed to easily take out the grass and water type trainers, but what I did forget about here is the ground trainer that has a Swinub and a Trapinch, meaning I cannot hit them with any damaging move besides Quick Attack, which does so little damage. I started trying to take out just the Trapinch, but Swinub hit Plusle with a critical dig, bringing me to only 3 health. From there, we managed to encore the Trapinch into Sand Attack and the Swinub into Odor Sleuth. So they weren't able to do any damage, and we very, very slowly managed to take them out. I'm not sure why Swinub went for a non-damaging move when I was so close to fainting, but I think this might be a mechanic of the game to make sure you don't lose to the pre-gym. But I'm not complaining. Fingers crossed the challenge is that lenient going forward, but I doubt that'll be the case. We get into the final battle, and we didn't get as lucky this time. I managed to encore them both into non-damaging moves, but with no way to deal a good amount of damage, I ran out of encores, and after 11 minutes of just hitting them with quick attacks, they finally get an attack off and managed to take us down. Despite the few levels we did earn, I still don't feel too confident taking on the Pyrite Colosseum, so I think I'll try and take on the Phoenix Colosseum instead to get another level. So it turns out that these are all level 40 and above, which I was definitely not prepared for, and I am massively underleveled. We had a couple of close calls as we were going through this, but it looks like this Colosseum only uses first form Pokemon, so they don't have the best base stats, and we actually managed to complete the Colosseum, which gets us to level 31. We also get a reward for completing the Colosseum, which will be incredibly useful later on, but I'll let you know what that is when it comes up. With a few extra levels under our belt, let's give Pyrite Colosseum a go. The first battle of the Colosseum causes us a bit of trouble. We put up against a Barboach and a Sandshrew, both of which are ground type, so I can't do any damage using electric type moves, so we can only use Quick Attack to deal damage. It starts off okay as we take a Water Gun and a Scratch and deal some light damage to Sandshrew, but on the next turn we get poisoned, so we're losing health at the end of each round, which pretty much guarantees we're going to lose. Eventually, Plusle faints and we get taken down not long after. You know what, that's fine. I targeted Sandshrew for the most part in that attempt as he had the most defense, but if we try and take down the Barboach first, he should go down a bit quicker and that'll put us in a 2-on-1 position. Okay, attempt 2. We managed to get a bit lucky with confusion and only hit ourselves once before taking out the Barboach, with Plusle and Minun on about half health each. Sandshrew on the other hand has too much health for us to do anything against, and eventually we lose again. I just can't do enough damage using only Quick Attack at this level. I could probably keep trying until I get good enough crit luck and enemy move choice, but that's not a reliable method. I think we'll get another level or 2 and give it another go. After once again taking on the trainers in Pyrite, Plusle and Minun are now level 32 and we come back for another attempt. We target the Barboach again to start off and manage to do a good amount of damage in the first round, but Minun gets crit and we lose a good chunk of health early on. We take out Barboach with about half health left and encore Sandshrew into Scratch. The move itself doesn't do too much damage and it stops him from poisoning us with Poison Sting. Eventually, Minun faints and we're in a 1-on-1 situation against the Sandshrew. The Sandshrew gets a massive crit and still has a bit of health left, so I was pretty sure I was going to lose again. But then we hit with a crit of our own and win the battle. It's slightly concerning how little damage we were doing there. This is going to be a tough run. With the ground trainer in the Colosseum defeated, we easily rinse through every other trainer using Spark, only taking a hit or 2 and win the Colosseum. Once we've completed the Colosseum, we're rewarded with the TM for Toxic. I instantly teach this to Minun, so we have a reliable method of dealing damage to ground types. I chose to teach it to Minun as they have a slightly lower attack and special attack than Plusle. When we leave the Colosseum, we get intercepted by a goon similar to the one we saw in the mayor's house earlier. It turns out this goon was going to give us a shadow Pokemon for winning the Colosseum before he discovered who we were. We get into another battle, this time against a bug trainer. We easily take out his first Pokemon and then we have to deal with an Nincada, which is part ground type. I use Toxic straight away, so we start getting some passive damage as Nincada uses Dig. We take some big damage from the Dig, but not fainting in one hit guarantees us at least another 6 rounds before both of our team would faint to Dig. We keep taking Digs as we get some Quick Attack damage off, as well as the Toxic damage that the Nincada is taking, and eventually we take it out with Minun on 1 health. Once we've defeated the trainer, Juking comes in and we find out that he wasn't helping the town as Mirabee had kidnapped Juking's Pokemon. Mirabee is the first boss battle of our game and works for the secret organisation known as Cypher. On the way to Mirabee to get Juking's Pokemon back, we reach level 37 with Plusle, meaning we learn Thunder. Whilst it does have reduced accuracy, the TM we got when we completed the first round of Phoenix Colosseum was Rain Dance, which makes it so that Thunder has 100% accuracy. And not long after, Minun reaches level 37 as well, so both of our team now know Thunder. This is a massive upgrade over the move Spark, which we did have, as although we have half the PP, we do almost double the damage, and realistically, I'm not going to use Spark 20 times with both Plusle and Minun without having to go and heal in between. I chose to teach the Rain Dance TM to Plusle. I chose to add it to Plusle as they're faster, meaning that Minun's Thunder will always be 100% accurate on the same turn, so we don't have to worry about missing. Once we get to Mirror B, we obviously have to battle, which seems like a great time to tell you that each boss in this game has special AI and a very meticulous method of trying to defeat you. Mirror B's tactic is to use Rain Dance to trigger his Ludicolo's Swift Swim and Rain Dish abilities. What the AI doesn't take into consideration is that this will boost the accuracy of my Thunder. With this boosted accuracy, we managed to take down Mirror B without any trouble at all, only taking a bit of damage from Leech Life. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be the only battle for a while that we don't have too much trouble with. With Mount Battle coming up, I think we're going to be stuck for a while. But before we get to Mount Battle, Duking offers us his Pokemon which we saved, which was randomized into a Shuckle.
Well, that was dreadful.
Safe to say, I would not be using that even if this wasn't a challenge run. We head out of Pyrite, and it's at this point Rui remembers she was meant to see her grandparents. So we head north to Agate Village, where we meet Egan and Bella. Our reunion gets quickly interrupted as someone comes in and lets us know that Team Cypher are trying to destroy a relic stone within Agate Village. Egan sprints to the relic where he and his Pikachu get absolutely obliterated by a Shadow Hitmontop and a trainer named Scrub. In my battle against Scrub, he leads with a Geodude and a Wynaut. Wynaut knows Counter, Mirror Coat, Safeguard, and Destiny Bond. So if I don't attack this, it can't do any damage. So my plan is to leave this taking up one side of the field. We go for a Toxic on Geodude, so we start getting some passive damage off and use Rain Dance to boost our Thunder accuracy later on. Geodude uses Dig, so whilst he's out of range on the next attack, we decide to double down on the Wynaut slot to make sure it can't hit us with any of its moves. Wynaut goes down to 1 Thunder, and the Hitmontop that comes out after goes down to low health and gets paralysed, whilst Geodude hits Plusle with his Dig, bringing me to about a quarter health. Plusle takes out the Hitmontop with Thunder, bringing out Clampole, which also faints to a single Thunder. Geodude goes for another Dig, which gives us a free turn of toxic damage, but he takes out Plusle with a critical hit on the next turn. Not that he needed the crit. With a 1-on-1 against Geodude, we give some weak quick attacks while he goes for some heavy hitting double edges. By this point, Toxic is starting to pick up damage and Geodude is in the red, and with him going for a Dig, we're guaranteed the win. That was exceptionally close. We really need to get something for these rock ground types. Unfortunately, there's no more useful TMs that we can get until after Mount Battle, so that means we're going to have to do the whole area, which is literally filled with ground types, using only Toxic and Quick Attack. With the relic saved, we receive an email to say that Mount Battle is currently under attack by Team Cypher, and their next boss, Dakim. I'm not looking forward to this. Let's see how it goes. I lost on Battle 1. They started with a Trapinch, which used Bite, and a Numel, which used Stomp. In hindsight, I probably should have encored them both there to stop any ground type moves, but I didn't, and we lost to a magnitude 8. I think we're going to be on Mount Battle for a while. Okay, next attempt at the first battle, and we start off by getting some early quick attack damage off on Trapinch, and then manage to encore the Numel into Ember. Not the best move, as we do have a chance of getting burned, but it's better than losing to Magnitude. Trapinch, on the other hand, goes for Dig, which brings Plusle down to 3 health. We manage to finish off the Trapinch, and Numel aims for Minun on the next turn, so Plusle survives. Sandshrew comes out to replace the Trapinch, so we instantly use Toxic to get some passive damage off against their high defense, but he does manage to finish off Plusle. We take out the Numel and encore Sandshrew into a non-damaging Sand attack over the next 2 turns, so with Sandshrew unable to do damage and losing health to Toxic, we get the win. Unfortunately, this is the case for the majority of Mount Battle. There's a massive amount of ground types, and on top of that, there's ground and rock types which I can only hit with resisted quick attacks. In Battle 3, we come across Geodude that only uses Magnitude, which we obviously lose to. We give it a couple of attempts every couple of levels, and eventually take out the Sandshrew, which brings out a Numel, which also has Magnitude. It takes a while, but finally we manage to win the battle at level 50 with some Toxic and Encore strategy. We have some minor problems in the next few battles, but the next big problem comes in Battle 7, where they have a Vibrava, a Sandslash, and a Graveler. For some reason, the Graveler uses Defense Skill for the most part, so we encore them into that and take him down with Toxic. I'm not sure why they use Defense Skill, maybe it's because they can't see a kill with Magnitude, or they don't want to do damage to his own team. Either way, it doesn't help as we die to Dig by Vibrava and Sandslash. It takes a bit of time, but after a couple of levels, we manage to Toxic both the Graveler and the Vibrava and take them down. Okay, Battle 9 we had some trouble with as well, but my plan for this relied entirely on luck. I know that's not much of a strategy, but with 2 physically frail Pokemon, there's not much I can do with 2 self-destructing Geodudes. The luck I was looking for in this battle was a critical hit, but not from me. I wanted the enemy Geodude to critical hit his self-destruct on his teammate Geodude, instantly taking him down. That would leave me with about 30 health on each Plusle and Minun, and in a 2-on-1 battle against a Sandslash. It took a lot of attempts, and we actually got to level 62 when attempting these battles, until we finally got the critical hit we were looking for, and the Geodudes managed to take each other out. In a 2-on-1 against the Sandslash, we get a Toxic off, and with him only going for Dig, but he does manage to take down Plusle. Now in a 1-on-1, Sandslash goes for Slash, so we encore that so we can't do any super effective damage, and we finally manage to win the battle with only 25 health remaining. This leaves the battle against Dakim, who I know for a fact has 3 ground-type Pokemon. This just isn't going to go well. In our first attempt against Dakim, he starts with Metang and Golem. I tried to go for Thunder on Metang and Toxic on Golem, but Golem went for Protect and I missed Metang. Matang did hit us with an Earthquake, but it didn't do too much damage. On the next turn, we encore Golem into his Protect, so we can't be instantly finished by Earthquake, and we get Toxic off, so they start taking passive damage. We then take out Matang with Thunder, which brings out Marsh Stomp. Unfortunately, we're not able to get enough damage off on the Marsh Stomp, and they take out Plusle without too much trouble. Eventually, the Marsh Stomp and Golem fall on the same turn, bringing out Camerupt and a Shadow Entei. But with only Minun in the battle, we lose to an Earthquake from Camerupt. It wasn't a massive loss, at least we got to the Entei. I think with a few attempts and maybe a bit of luck, we should be able to get this done. Okay, so maybe not a few attempts. This is after half an hour and we're getting very similar results each time. We managed to encore the Golem into Protect and Toxic them. We take out the Matang with Thunder and the Marsh Stomp with Quick Attack, and then we lose to Camerupt Earthquake or Entei Shadow Rush. I have double checked all of the items and TMs we have available to us at this point in the game, and unfortunately there's literally nothing we can change about our current moveset that would help us. The only thing we can do is keep trying and leveling up. Finally, we managed to get an attempt which goes our way. We start off by using Rain Dance and Thunder to take out the Matang, whilst Golem uses Protect. We encore the Golem into Protect to prevent heavy damage from Earthquake and hit a quick attack on the Marsh Stomp that comes in. We actually managed to get a lucky critical hit on the Marsh Stomp on the next turn, so we take minimal damage. Camerupt comes in and we start doing some damage with Quick Attack as we get hit with an Earthquake, doing a lot of damage. Camerupt falls on the next turn, which brings out the Entei, who we take down in Thunder, leaving us in a 2-on-1 against Golem. At this point, we Toxic the Golem to deal damage and keep him encored into Protect to get the win. I think that would probably be our toughest battle for a while. We're level 66 now, so this will be massively over what any of the upcoming battles should be. So hopefully we'll be okay. I don't think we have any massive ground type heavy battles until the end game now, so I'm hoping our mediocre moveset and massive level lead will get us through until then. With Dakim defeated, we receive an email from Duking to say that Pirate Police had captured 2 Cypher members. We go to the police station and find 2 Cypher members that we defeated earlier, one of which has a key to take us down to a new area called the Under. This area is under control of our next Cypher boss, Venus. Fortunately for us, before doing any more battles, we have access to the Mount Battle store and the Under shop, both of which have access to numerous TMs that we can use. Speaking of, let's go back to the rules. In the rules, we said that we wouldn't be using any cheats or exploits. For the sake of my own time and sanity, I have used cheats for rare candy and unlimited Mount Battle coupons, which are used to buy TMs and items at Mount Battle. As there's literally no skill in just sitting through battles against level 20s when I am a level 60, I personally don't see this as much of an exploit. Like, I would be able to access these, I'm just making the process of getting them a lot more time efficient. I'm not giving myself access to something I shouldn't be able to get. On top of that, if I was grinding Mount Battle for coupons, I would get XP and just be more over-leveled for the rest of the game. But if you feel otherwise, please let me know in the comments, and this can be something I think about further. During our shopping spree, we pick up 2 TMs each of Thunderbolt, Double Team, and possibly the best of the bunch, Hidden Power. For those that don't know, Hidden Power is a move that shows as normal type, but the type actually varies and is chosen by something in the background of your Pokemon. So there's not actually a way of knowing what type it is without using it and seeing what it is super or not very effective against. Through my excellent detective skills, we discover that Hidden Power for Plusle is Dragon, and the Hidden Power for Minun is Ice. That's pretty good. Both of these types use our special attack, which is a lot better than our normal attack, and it gives us 2 types that will actually do neutral damage to ground rock types. So I'm relatively happy. Although we've bought a few TMs, we've only taught both of the team their respective hidden powers, which are used to replace Quick Attack. We did buy the double team TMs, but hopefully we won't need that, and we'll hold on to Thunder until its accuracy starts becoming a problem. Now we're in the Under, we discover the Kids Grid, a group of children who have formed together to take down Team Cypher. We agree to help them out by delivering parts from one area of the Under to another, and find out that they appear to know who we are. We then use this gravity-defying platform to head over to the next boss, Venus. Now, you may be thinking that literally nothing has happened between Dakim and Venus, and you would be 100% correct. There are a total of 0 mandatory battles between the 2 bosses, so we're going to see how we get on. Okay, first attempt. Delcatty and Vileplume out first. We go for a Hidden Power Ice on Vileplume and a Hidden Power Dragon on Delcatty, bringing them both to low health, but still surviving. Unfortunately, Delcatty uses Attract on Plusle, our highest damage dealer, so we miss the next turn and get hit with a heavy double edge, whilst Minun takes out Vileplume, which brings out Steelix. Plusle misses another turn to Infatuation and takes another heavy double edge, bringing us down to 15 health, but the recoil damage is enough to take out Delcatty. We use another Hidden Power with Minun to bring the Steelix down to half health as he goes for Taunt. On the next turn, Plusle uses Thunder to take out the Banette in one hit, and we encore the Steelix into Taunt using Minun. This leaves us in a 2-on-2 against Steelix and Swissine. We use the next turn to safely take out the Swissine without taking any damage, and then finish off the Steelix to win the battle. A nice first attempt win there. It's definitely been a while since we've had one of them. Although, I can't say I'm surprised given that I'm 20 levels higher than Venus's Pokemon. We chase after Venus as she runs off and pick up a key for a secret lab, which is now showing on our map, so we're going to go check that out, but before we do, I want to replace Thunder with Thunderbolt on both Plusle and Minun. I've decided we're at a high enough level now where Thunderbolt should be able to take down anything in front of us, and we don't have to worry about the reduced accuracy. Once we get to the lab, it turns out this is used to turn normal Pokemon into Shadow Pokemon. There are a load of battles here, but they're mainly all electric types, and given our level advantage, high special attack, and ability boost, we managed to get through all of these with only one trip to the Pokemon Center, and that wasn't actually for damage, that was just to restore PP as we wiped out the entire area. At the end of the lab, we do come across the next Cypher boss, Ein. I'm feeling okay for the Ein battle. One of his tactics is to use Rain Dance to boost water damage and thunder accuracy, so maybe I should have held on to my thunder and let him set up the Rain Dance? We'll see. Okay, Ein battle. It starts off with him using Altaria and Lantern. We take out the Altaria in one hit with Minun's Hidden Power, which brings out Golbat, and we use Hidden Power on the Lantern, knowing it has Volt Absorb, which would just heal it if I'd used an electric type move. Lantern doesn't die and it sets up a Rain Dance. It was at this point I was expecting to get nailed by a Hydro Pump from Lantern, but he just goes for Confuse Ray, which is debatably worse. We finish off the Golbat with Minun, but Plusle hits itself in Confusion and gets nailed with a Hydro Pump. On the next turn, Plusle manages to hit through Confusion and takes down the Lantern, which opens up the Huntail for a Thunderbolt from Minun, taking it down instantly. With only Raikou remaining on Ein's team, we easily win despite Plusle hitting themselves in Confusion again. Now that all the bosses have been defeated, we have access to a new area of the map, Realgam Tower. In this tower, we have to take on every boss we've defeated thus far with their new and improved teams, as well as other battles. I'm feeling okay about these battles. Now that we have access to some new moves, we shouldn't have too much trouble with the ground types in Dickim's team, and the other admin shouldn't cause us too much trouble either. We still have a healthy level advantage over most Pokemon at this point, so I'm not too concerned. Mirabee starts off with his usual Ludicolo, but his second Pokemon is a Loudred. We managed to take out the Loudred in one hit, who is replaced with a Golduck, but we only deal a small amount of damage to the Ludicolo, who set up Rain Dance, activating their Swift Swim ability. Despite Swift Swim, we're still faster than the Ludicolo, and managed to take it out with a Thunderbolt, and Golduck falls to a single Thunderbolt from Minun, leaving us in a 2-on-2 battle against the Ludicolo and a Shadow Sudowoodo. Shadow Pokemon retain the same level as when you first encounter them, so at only level 35, the Sudowoodo easily faints to a single Thunderbolt, and we managed to take out the Ludicolo with a Thunderbolt as well, winning the battle without actually taking any damage. After restoring PP, we re-encounter Dakim. He starts off with Threatrus and Claydol with his usual Protect and Earthquake strategy. Claydol doesn't have Protect, but they do have Levitate, so we still can't be 100% sure which of them to aim for. I take a risk and assume that Threatrus will use Protect, but honestly, there's no reason he couldn't have used Earthquake with Threatrus, and I think I just got lucky. Assuming Threatrus will use Protect, we hit 2 Hidden Powers into Claydol, which takes it down and brings out Flygon without us taking any damage. We use this opportunity to Encore Threatrus into Protect, so it can't deal any damage, and we use Hidden Power Ice with Minun, which takes out Flygon in one hit, which is replaced with a Whiscash. We go for 2 Hidden Powers into the Whiscash, hoping to take it down, but it survives with a Slither and hits off a heavy Earthquake, bringing Plusle to a third and Minun to half health. On the next turn, I prepare to take out Whiscash with 1 Hidden Power and then hit the remaining Entei with a Thunderbolt, but Dakim uses a Hyper Potion, bringing Whiscash to full health, meaning we only take it down to just over half. And to make matters worse, Threatrus breaks out of his Encore. We're not in a good position. I go for a Thunderbolt into Threatrus with Plusle, which gets blocked by a Protect, and a Hidden Power into Whiscash, which they survive with a Slither. But after all of that, we get blasted with another Earthquake, which takes us down. That's okay, we got very close, and I think if I try that again, we should be able to get the win. On the next attempt, Dakim once again starts off with Claydol and Threatrus. I decided to split my attacks and go for a Thunderbolt into Threatrus, just in case he changed his tactic from last time. This appears to be a mistake, as this means we don't take out the Claydol, and we take a little bit of damage from Earthquake while Threatrus uses Protect. On the next turn, Dakim uses his Hyper Potion early to heal his Claydol, whilst we Encore Threatrus into Protect, and get some big damage off against Claydol. We then take out the Claydol with Hidden Power from Plusle, and Hidden Power from Minun takes out the Flygon, which comes out in one hit, bringing out Whiscash. I thought we were going to lose on this turn, as I knew we couldn't take out Whiscash with 2 Hidden Powers, but Minun clutches up and gets a crit, so we managed to take them down, bringing out Entei. Threatrus' Encore ended at the end of last turn, so we use another Encore to get them locked back into Protect, whilst we take out the Entei in one use of Thunderbolt. We then lose a couple of turns to Protect, but with them not being able to do any damaging moves, we eventually take down Threatrus and win the battle. I got very lucky in the end there with that crit on Whiscash. I think Minun would have survived, but with Threatrus' Encore ending on the same turn, I probably would have lost the battle on the next turn. Venus is up next, and this was an annoying battle. Whilst Venus goes for Infatuation in your first battle against them, they throw that out of the window in this battle and just use absolutely every status condition they can to make sure that you can't attack. She starts off with Blossom and Wigglytuff, and we instantly take out Wigglytuff on the first attack with Thunderbolt, trying to avoid being hit with Body Slam and possibly being paralysed on the first turn. Blossom on the other hand, we hit with a super effective Ice Hidden Power, but they survive and use Attract on Plusle. We lose an attack with Plusle to Infatuation, but Blossom gets taken out and replaced with Misdreavus. Whilst we did break Plusle out of its Attract, we get hit with a Thunder Wave from Raichu, so we're paralysed for the rest of the battle. We hit Raichu with a solid Thunderbolt, but they survived and go for a Sweet Kiss to cause confusion on Plusle. Sweet Kiss misses, but it doesn't matter, as Misdreavus goes for Confuse Ray, which hits, so Plusle is now confused and paralysed. We finish off the Raichu on the next turn, which brings out Swissine, and we lose another turn with Plusle to hitting ourselves in confusion. On the next turn, we take out the Misdreavus with Thunderbolt from Minun, and Plusle hits itself in confusion for the third time in a row. For some reason, Minun has been completely ignored in this battle, so with zero paralysis, confusion, or attraction, Minun easily takes out the Swissine with a Thunderbolt. This leaves only the final Cypher admin to take out, Ein. Ein starts with a Lightning Rod Rhydon and a Starmie. As Rhydon has Lightning Rod, that means we're not able to do any electric type damage whilst they're on the field. So I decide to use 2 hidden powers into them to take them down on the first round. This leaves Crobat open to go for an attack, so we get hit by a Toxic, meaning Plusle has a limited amount of time before it faints. On the next turn, we go for a Thunderbolt into Crobat and a Thunderbolt into Starmie, which takes them both down in one hit, bringing out Ein's 2 final Pokemon, Pelipper and Raikou. We manage to take out Pelipper in one hit on the next turn, and after 2 Thunderbolts, Raikou goes down as well. We dropped to just under half health for Plusle from Toxic damage, so I'm glad the battle ended when it did. Much longer, and we'd have been down to just Minun. With the bosses defeated, we can now go further into Realgam Tower, where we discover this is where Team Cypher will be holding Colosseum battles with their strongest Shadow Pokemon. Going through the tower, we encounter Nascor, Cypher's leader, who just walks away. We try to chase him, but we get stopped by Gonzap, who you won't remember as I haven't brought them up yet. Gonzap is the leader of Team Snag'em, you know, that base that we definitely didn't blow up. It turns out, Team Snag'em was sourcing the Pokemon that Cypher were then turning into Shadow Pokemon, and this was all one large operation. Before we can take on Nascor, we have to take on Gonzap. Gonzap starts with a Hariyama and a Crawdon. We go for a Thunderbolt into each of them, and thanks to Hariyama's relatively low base special defense and a super effective attack on the Crawdon, both of these go down in one hit. These are replaced by Pinsir and Shiftry. We go for another Thunderbolt with Plusle into Pinsir, which takes it down in one hit, and an Ice Hidden Power from Minun easily takes out the Shiftry, leaving us in a 2-on-1 battle against the Shadow Skarmory, which easily gets taken down in a single Thunderbolt. With Gonzap defeated, we have to take on this game's sort of Elite Four before we can take on Nascor. These 4 battles are back-to-back, with no ability to access your bag to heal or change held items in between. So we have to take out these with only the PP we have, and trying to take as little damage as possible. I don't think these 4 battles will be too difficult, but I'm slightly concerned for the battles against Nascor and then the final boss afterwards. But before we get into those battles, let's have a final look at our stats. As you can imagine, our speed is still insanely high, so I don't think we'll have any trouble with being outsped by anyone, but our defense is still insanely low, so I think if we get hit by any physical moves, we're going to be in trouble. Our physical attack is also quite low, but we don't have any physical moves, so we shouldn't have any problems there. Okay, 4 consecutive battles. Each of these battles include 1 Shadow Pokemon, which can easily deal heavy damage if they manage to hit us. Fortunately, all of these are around level 50, so we have a nice level advantage. I managed to take them all on whilst only taking damage in the last battle, but never enough to put us into any danger. With the Elite Four defeated, the game gives us a free heal, and we get into the final battle with the Cypher boss Nascor. Nascor starts with a Walrein and a Xatu. We go for a Thunderbolt into each of them, which brings them both down in one hit, and they're replaced with Blaziken and Gardevoir. Another 2 Thunderbolts brings down Blaziken and Gardevoir, and we're then in a 2-on-2 battle against Dusclops and a Shadow Metagross. Being a pseudo-legendary, Metagross has insanely high base stats, so I don't expect to take it down, but to my surprise, they fall in a single Thunderbolt as well. In fact, the only Pokemon which survived a Thunderbolt was Dusclops, and all they did was Confuse Ray, so a very easy win for this battle. Just as we were thinking we had defeated the final boss of the game, out comes Ascard, the mayor of Phoenix City, who reveals himself to be Evis, the secret leader of the Cypher organisation and the true final boss. Evis leads with a Slacking and a Sizzle. I was immediately worried about being taken out in one hit by Slacking, so I decided to use 2 Thunderbolts into them to take it out of the equation straight away. Whilst it did take the Slacking out, we could have split the attacks as Evis only used X attacks on both of his Pokemon. With Scizor and Machamp now on the field, we go for a Thunderbolt into each, taking down the Scizor and bringing Machamp down to the red before he almost takes out both Plusle and Minun in one Earthquake. Things are definitely not looking good. Another Thunderbolt takes down the Machamp, but a Double Edge from Salamence takes down Plusle, leaving me in a 1 versus 3 with Minun, and I'm on 26 health. I'm pretty certain we're going to lose it. I go for a Thunderbolt into the Slowking, which does a decent amount of damage, bringing it down to the yellow, but not enough to take it down, and we get taken down by a Psychic from the Slowking. That didn't go too badly. I think if we got an attempt where we didn't get absolutely destroyed by an Earthquake from Machamp, we might be able to do this. Attempt 2, and Evis starts with Slacking and Salamence. We start with the same thought pattern as last time, not wanting to instantly lose to Slacking. So we go for a double Thunderbolt, but we actually manage to get a crit with Plusle, which takes it down on the first hit. meaning we get a free hit of Thunderbolt onto the Machamp, which comes out afterwards. To make this start even better, Salamence has used Dragon Dance, which, although that sounds awful, we can actually encore that, so it's locked into a non-damaging move. Or at least that's what I thought, as Dragon Dance has now made Salamence faster, and I actually locked it into Double Edge, which does so much damage. We do manage to take out the Machamp, which is replaced by Scizor, but I don't have too much faith in this attempt. On the next turn, Evis uses an X attack with Scizor, so we don't get a hit from there, but Salamence decides to attack Minun instead of finishing off Plusle. So we're both low, but we have 2 alive Pokemon. We take out the Scizor with a Thunderbolt from Plusle, and we can take out the Salamence with an Ice Hidden Power from Minun, which puts us in a 2 vs 2 against Slowking and a Shadow Tyranitar. With Sandstorm going, we have very limited health and a short amount of time before we lose this battle. I go for a Thunderbolt with Plusle into Slowking, which takes it down in 1 hit, and Minun uses a Thunderbolt, bringing Tyranitar to the red. Tyranitar then uses a Shadow Rush, taking out Plusle, but taking recoil damage in the process, which takes it down, defeating Evis and completing the challenge. I thoroughly enjoyed this challenge, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I'm not quite sure if this challenge was as difficult as I expected it to be. I definitely didn't expect the beginning of the game to be as hard as it was with the crazy amount of ground rock types there were, but once we got past Kim, it was pretty smooth sailing. I thought the Gonzap, Elite Four, Nascore and Evis battles were going to be a lot worse, especially as their levels near enough caught up at the end, but our speed and the special attack managed to get us the win. If you have any ideas of Pokemon challenges or any other videos you'd like to see in the future, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below or message me on social media. All of the links are in my description. Thank you very much for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.